Hey guys, welcome to my new video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I created move element animation in Framer Motion. So basically, I recently came across Wix website which has really cool animation in the landing page. I will show you this animation firstly. If you can see, I'm currently in the Wix website. I can see all the lamp images here, text editor, all this thing. But as I scroll this, I'm just scrolling it vertically, I'm going it down, so you can see all the elements get properly aligned into their corresponding places. So basically it has to come here, it has to come here, and it has to come here. And if I just go back, you can see it travels all the way from here to here. So I really like this animation and I wondered how we can create it because it's so interesting, and the main idea can be used in other places, like if you are just adding some other content where you are scrolling it, the element is moving from one place to another place. So it's going to be very easy for us to implement that once we know the concept behind it. So what I've done is I quickly created a quick next.js project. I gave it a layout of Wix as much as possible. I created the same component, I copied it from here, but what we have implemented, the most important thing is the animation. So this is my local code that I created, and if I just scroll down, what you will see, the animation works as it was working on the Wix itself. So you can see all this content get properly merged into this fixed width, and sometimes even in this case, if you can see, whenever I scroll this component, it just perfectly aligns here. It adjusts the width and height and everything, and if you can see, this element comes all the way from here to here, and same with the text editor, and it will just continue here with, we can have other section here. So it's not like it's a fixed image width or anything, it's like core animation concept that we need to understand. So in this video, I'm going to cover how we can create this one. You will learn about how the overall idea of move element transition work. So without any further time waste, let's get started. Before starting any coding or anything, what I would like to do is I'll just give you a quick explanation of how the animation would be implemented. So basically, this is just the container that I've created to represent the whole website. You can see these all four in the blue represent the initial position of the elements. So these might be the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the target div that we have. So target div is basically the div that we are shown here, where the element would be position when this animation is finished, and this is the initial div. So basically what we need to do is, first of all, we need to calculate reference for all those element. So element 1, 2, 3, 4, and same for target 1, target 2, target 3, target 4. And with all the references, what we can do is basically we can get the initial starting point. So we can get x and y value from the element 1, and where we can get the initial position of the target div as well. So what we can do is we can basically, using the reference, we can use .current .get bounding client rect. Basically it gives us the top and left. So basically it gives how much it is from the top, as well as how much is it from the left. So something like that. And we have to calculate the same thing for the target as well. So it comes up all the way from here. Top is this, and then left is this. And basically what we need to do is, once we have this, the simple thing that we need to do is we need to use transform hook, which basically gives us from the Framer motion. And what it does is, based on the y scroll y progress, as it progresses down, what we need to do is we need to make sure it start from 0. So initially when the scroll y progress is 0, the position would be the default position of the element, and whenever it goes to, let's say, 0.8 on our example, because I wanted to show it in here, not at the bottom of the page, so when it reaches to 0.8, it will just transition this x into position dot transition xy, and we can use this x into our element. So this is how the overall concept of the element transition works, you can say, of. I'll start with implementation of the code. Implementation, I mean, I won't be starting writing the code from the scratch, but this video would be general understanding of how I implemented the animation and how I added all the different component work by itself. So basically in the page what I have added just a hero section, and hero section is a different component in which all the logic goes. And if I just go to the hero section, what you will see is first and foremost what I've done is I have added a reference to the particular hero section, and I've used that reference in the uScroll hook. uScroll hook is a framer motion hook which help us to track the scrolling events or values and everything. It gives us a scroll y progress, scroll x progress, scroll y value, and scroll x value. We can use it correspondingly, but if I don't pass this target as a ref, what you will see is if I just refresh my page, I'll let it load for a while, you will see that the animation is not working because it is it is only being completed when I scroll the whole page, which is not the thing that I want, but it should be rather completed when I reach at the end of the hero section. So this is what um, uScroll hook and the reference does. Is reference is basically saying that the uScroll should be limited within the given reference section and not throughout the whole page. And the next thing that I've done, as I explained earlier, is I've created 4 different ref. I've created the target ref for the lamp target. So basically this is the target ref, not the top one, but this is the target ref for the lamp target, book target, AI image target, and text editor target. I have passed it into their different component, but let me just start by showing you how I implemented it. So I've created this home UI component, which is a separate component, and in this I'm just passing a children as a content. And what I've done is this is just a basic UI structure in which I've just given a nav bar and everything, but inside there I can pass a content which is basically passed as in children, and in that I'm just passing the reference to each of the target variables. So this is the lamp target variable, text editor target variable, and AI editor target variable, and book target variable. And since I'm implementing them in the proper place where it needs to be targeted at, the next thing that I'm doing is I'm passing the lamp target variable scroll y for the hero section and the target reference to this lamp component. Lamp component is the component that we see this one. So this is the lamp component, whereas this invisible here is the target component. And in the lamp component, what I've done is I've also taken the reference for that lamp component. So this is the content ref is the reference for this existing lamp component and not the targeted one. And what I've done is I've basically created a calculate position hook, and on every resize or whenever window is being scrolled, what I'm doing is I'm trying to calculate the position, and basically I'm using the get bounded client rect. It gives me the top, left, and right. So from here what I can do is I can get the target x. Target x is the x position for the target, target y is the y position for the target, and sometimes the target might have a different width. So I'm also calculating the target width. Along with that, I'm calculating the initial width so that I can show the expanding that is happening. So if you can see here, the AI text image editor is fixed width, and it might be small depending on your device width, but whenever it goes into this target ref, it width increases as well as its height increases, and it get perfectly aligned there. So that is what I'm doing. And basically once I have all this thing set up, what I'm doing is I'm using a use transform hook from framer motion. Use transform hook is basically a hook which help us transition a value from one initial value to a final value, and the main importance of it is it does it smoothly. So basically currently if you can see, use transform hook accept 3 different variable. So the first one is the event on which this use transform will work. For our example, it will work on scroll y progress. And basically what does it means is whenever the scroll y is 0, the initial x would be 0, so the return value for the x would be 0. But whenever the scroll y position or the progress will reach to 0.8, the final value would be position dot target x. So this is the whole purpose of the use transform hook. and I can do this with the width as well. So the initial width is a specific width for that particular component, and when it transforms from 0 to 0.9, it get transitioned and increased in width from the initial width to the final width, which is this position.target.width. I can also decrease the padding. So if you can see here, initially I have some padding in which I can see the white page. I am also decreasing. So initial is the 8 and it decreased to 0. I can do the same for the border radius or any other different value that I want. So currently, if you can see, I have a border radius of 24, which is a big border radius initially, but as I scroll, the border radius is also slightly changed and it matches the border radius of the image which is in between. So, and using all this use transform hook and everything, what I can do is I can pass those values in a motion.dev. Basically, motion is another component which framer motion gives us, and we can only apply the style of the framer motion in the motion component. We cannot use the regular div component. And in that, what we need to do is we need to pass the XY width and border radius, and I'm also passing the reference, which is the content ref for this particular lamp target. So this is how it works, and I can add animation on anything. So basically lamp, and this one has the same animation. But if you can see for, let's say, text editor, in which when I'm scrolling, the overall outer area become thin. So basically, if you can see, it has the big radius, so it the border width is a bit large, but as I scroll it goes to 0. So all the similar same concept, I'm calculating the initial position and everything. Based on that, I'm doing the border width calculation, in which when it's 0 it would be 2, but when it reaches to 0.8 it would be 0. And same for the opacity. Opacity is used for the outer item, in which I'm just decreasing the opacity of each of the corner dot. So when they reaches here, it will just decrease its opacity to 0. So this is how the overall implementation works for the move element transition. You can apply the same logic in anywhere where you might have a different transition, in which you might have a scroll X transition or anything, but the similar logic applies, in which we have to take reference for the current element and the target element, and whenever we are doing some scrolling or any event is happening, we need to transform the value of the current position of the element to the targeted position of the element. Thank you for watching my video. So before ending the video, I would like to mention that I have already added the GitHub repository and the code that I've used and implemented in this video in my GitHub repo, and I've also linked the link for the GitHub repo in my description for this video. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.